say a brand's considering working with two different dietitians, me and somebody else. We're both plant-based dietitians. We both talk to women the same age range, and they look at my website and they look at the other dietitian's website. And my website has that as seen in section that we just talked about. It's very clear that I'm featured in the media a lot. And the second person, they have a really nice picture. Their bio is really nice, but they have no media outlets on their homepage. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Master the Media podcast, episode 7. I'm your host, Amy Gorin, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today, we're going to be talking about an as seen in section, what that is, and why you need it to land paid brand partnerships. Before we dive into that, I just want to quickly announce that we're hosting live Q&A sessions this week. So tonight, on Tuesday, June 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be joined by Dr. Simran, who's an amazing Master of the Media student and our physician advisor, and we're going to be answering all of your burning questions about working with brands as a physician or advanced care practitioner. And then on Thursday, June 19th, I'm going to be live with Katie Hadley, who's our community manager, and she has earned over $150,000 in paid brand partnerships. And we're also going to be answering your questions for dietitians and healthcare practitioners. So if you want to join either of those are free. You can go to masterthemedia.co/QA. And if you're listening to this episode after those events have taken place, you can go to that link anyway and watch the replay. So today we're going to talk about an as seen in section. And you're probably wondering, like, Amy, what is that? What are you talking about? So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. On this podcast, we've talked about the importance of landing media features, being featured in the media, and how you can leverage those media features to land paid brand partnerships. So say you're featured on an ABC TV segment, or you're featured in an EatingWell article or a Forbes article, and you put that logo of either of any of those news outlets on the homepage of your website. I'm sure you've seen this. A lot of companies have this, when you're buying furniture or rugs, and you go to the website and it's like as seen in, and it has 3, 5, maybe even 7 media outlets. So that's what's called an as seen in section. And it's as important for you as a healthcare professional expert with influence to have an as seen in section as it is for a brand to have an as seen in section. And the reason why is because as a healthcare professional, you don't need millions of followers like an influencer has to have influence. All you need is your expertise and your credentials. But brands want to, when they're considering working with you, they want to see that influence that you have from those credentials goes even further than, your little bubble of the patients that you see and the community that you live in. And so what happens is when they go to your website and they look at the homepage and they see, oh my gosh, Amy's been featured in the Washington Post and US News and HuffPost. And wow, we're really impressed. And each of those outlets has millions of viewers, of readers. And that goes to show the brand that you have a lot of impact, which equals a lot of influence as a healthcare professional. And you have the means to connect with the media, which is something that a lot of brands want. Actually, pretty much every brand out there will be, if they can work with a healthcare expert who has connections with the media, that is huge for them, because every brand out there wants their product featured in the media, because that's, people will see that, feature and say EatingWell, and they're going to want to buy the product. Also, if the brand, can think, oh, we can get Amy's endorsement of our plant-based burger, and she can get that featured in Eat This Not That. And then people will see that, and then they'll go to the grocery store and they'll see our burger, and they're going to say, oh, that's the burger that Amy Gorin, who's a plant-based dietitian, was recommending, and I'm going to buy it. And so that's the result of the influence that you garner from being featured in the media. So the process that I teach in Master the Media is you don't have to get a gazillion media features to be attractive to brands for them to want to hire you for those high paying spokesperson jobs. So for a brand to want to give you a $10,000 contract or a $20,000 contract or a $50,000 contract, you don't need 100 media placements. You just need a handful of them. So as little as three, ideally 5 to 7 different media outlets that you can feature on the homepage of your website. And what I'm always telling my Master the Media students is you can always swap these out. So you can start with the first 5 to 7 outlets that you get. Maybe 1 or 2 of those is a local, smaller news outlet. And then the more you get featured in the media, because what happens is, and this is literally like the beauty of being featured in the media, is you're going to give an awesome quote to an outlet, and then another reporter is going to see that. So say, for instance, I'm quoted in an article on, how much caffeine can a pregnant woman safely drink, and I'm quoted in Parents about that. And then another writer who's writing an article for, say, US News on, what should pregnant women eat, sees me quoted in that Parents article and reaches out to me because of that. And then all of a sudden, I can not only say on the homepage of my website that I've been featured in Parents, I can also say I've been featured in US News. So as you get more of these media features, you'll have the ability to really pick and choose the best features to feature. It's not necessarily the biggest, most splashy outlet, although those can be really exciting. I like to do a mix of different outlets that I'm featuring on my As Seen In section. And so what I mean by that, so for me, as a plant-based registered dietitian nutritionist, I run 2 businesses. I run Master the Media, and then I run Plant-Based with Amy. So on the website for Plant-Based with Amy, I have to think about, who am I targeting? Who is my ideal demographic that I'm targeting? And they're women, ages 30 to 50. They have kids, and they are interested in learning how to eat more plants. They might be vegan, they might be flexitarian, they might, maybe the other people in their household are meat eaters, and they just want to figure out how to not make 2 completely different dishes, but to, balance that plant-based lifestyle and a meat eating lifestyle in the same household. And so I want to think through, what would I feature media wise? Like, say I could pick any outlet that I I can dream up. Then out of those 5 to 7 spots that I have room for in my As Seen In section, and I say that I have room for because I think some of us are kind of tempted to, if you've been featured in 20 media outlets, to put all 20 media logos on the homepage of your website. But all that does is just make everything look cluttered. It's going to look a lot more professional, a lot more impressive if you have those 5 to 7 outlets. They're artfully chosen to reach your ideal audience. And so, I would choose a couple of national outlets, and maybe it's like NBC and US News that are broad reaching. Then I want to include something that gets at the fact that I'm targeting women. So maybe I'd include women's health. And then I want to get at the fact that I'm a registered dietitian. I'm promoting nutrition advice. So I'd include 1 or 2 specific outlets that are niche toward that. So maybe it's EatingWell and Eat This Not That. And then for good measure, I want to promote the fact that I've been on TV. So I would add ABC, for instance. And then I have my, 7 or so media logos that I can feature on my website. And the reason, we've talked a little bit about why it's important to have an As Seen In section, but, let's talk a little bit more about that. So when you're wanting to work with brands, and we're, in a minute, I'm going to broach on some other benefits of the As Seen In section beyond working with brands. But it's like with anything else. Like if you had a dating profile that you were sharing, you have just a few seconds to make an impression at the person who is taking the time to check you out on your website. And so you want, basically when you're looking at a website, there is a section that's above the fold and below the fold. So kind of just like picture a newspaper and you're opening up that newspaper and there's the top half and the bottom half. You want anything that is really important for making an impression in the section that's at the top, the above the fold section. So that's where your as seen in section should be. So like, if you just take a second after you listen to this podcast episode to go and check out some websites of, companies that you love, or celebrities, you might see they have a picture of themselves with a little tiny, little short bio. And then there's the as seen in section. And it literally says as seen in or featured in, and then it has the logos underneath those words. And the reason that this is so important is, say a brand's considering working with two different dietitians, me and somebody else. We're both plant-based dietitians. We both talk to women the same age range, and they look at my website and they look at the other dietitian's website. And my website has that as seen in section that we just talked about. It's very clear that I'm featured in the media a lot. And the second person, they have a really nice picture. Their bio is really nice, but they have no media outlets on their homepage. Well, the brand is inevitably going to choose me because it's a no-brainer. Like, even if the second person has just as much media as I have done in my whole career, then they would have to do a deeper dive to find that out. And they're not going to spend that time if they've already found what they're looking for by going to my website. So this is a really, really easy way to set yourself apart from, other potential competition, but also to make yourself just really attractive to the potential brands that you want to work with. Same thing goes for if media is checking you out. So like, you have those 5 to 7 media features that you're featuring on your homepage. You could go a little bit further and have a section on your website called, let's just call it media. And you have a link to all the articles you've ever been featured in. And so somebody who wants to take a deep dive, say it's a reporter for, let's just say for Time Magazine, and they're like, well, I just want to make sure this expert really does know how to talk to the media. And they can look at that page that includes all of those links. They'll probably see, if they go to mine, they're going to see hundreds and hundreds of articles. They might click on a few and say, okay, I like the quotes that Amy's giving. Great. I'm going to reach out to her to feature her in this article that I'm writing on what to eat before a marathon. And then all of a sudden I'm featured in Time Magazine. And so that is how literally getting featured in the media has so many different legs. It can help you work with brands. It can help you get featured in more media. And then another really, really great way that it can help you increase your income and grow your business is being featured in the media, and sharing that you're featured in the media can also help you get new clients. So say you're trying to grow your business, and, for me, I might be seeing one-on-one clients. Maybe you're a life coach or a health coach and you want new clients, or you're a physician starting your own practice, whatever it is. Like, say you run a clinic and you want more people in the door, or you run a gym. Well, being featured in the media is going to help you immensely with that. I made the decision several years ago to not see patients, but I still have a wait list for new patients because I might change my mind in the future. More likely, I'll hire another dietitian who I've trained to take on those clients, and then that becomes another revenue stream. My wait list is rather large because a lot of people have found me through the articles that I'm either quoted in or have written. So say, I've written articles for Food Network. I've been quoted in pretty much every media outlet under the sun, and they will see that a lot of those articles have a link back to my website, and they're like, well, I want a dietitian, and I see Amy saying exactly what I would want my dietitian to say here, and so I want to work with her. And so media is a really, really great way to grow your clientele and your bottom line. And by the way, the concept of an as seen in section isn't just for your website. So it could be for your Instagram bio. Of course, you're not going to be able to put a picture of 5 to 7 logos there, But what you can do is you have a few lines of text. You could say as seen in, and then you could tag a few of those media outlets. When I'm on Instagram and doing this, I like to choose kind of the shortest titles possible. So I might choose like as seen in, NBC, ABC, HuffPost, because those are all pretty short compared to like, Eat This Not That, which you could probably list one outlet if you're going to list that outlet. And so it's the same thing, if you have a brand or a reporter for a news site or a potential client and they go to check out your social media page and the first thing they see is, oh, Amy Gorin as seen in NBC, they're going to want to hire me versus somebody else who has comparable, experience who doesn't have that. Because of course it's like, oh, the dietitian who was featured in HuffPost, who was featured in NBC, ABC, I want to work with her. And so that just gives you so much more, it just makes everything run so much more smoothly. And you have people knocking on your door instead of you having to hustle and knock on everyone else's door. And it just makes the whole concept of being an entrepreneur a lot easier, honestly. So I want you to focus on getting yourselves some of those media features. If you're wondering how, we Master the Media runs a free Facebook group called Master the Media for dietitians, physicians, and health professionals. And we have media opportunities for really amazing outlets, everything from like Time and Newsweek to HuffPost and Eat This Not That and Well and Good. And that's how a lot of the people, the healthcare professionals in our community, get those first media features. So again, we're hosting a live Q&A tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, so June 17th, and then also on June 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be answering all your burning questions about working with brands. So you can grab a spot there by going to masterthemedia.co/QA. And I will see you there.